Baringo County, Turkana and Samburu counties in northern Kenya have seen the region earn itself an infamous title, the Valley of Death. So dreaded is it that others have described it as the Rustler's Paradise, while others refer to it as the Suguta killing fields. Recent months, however, calm has slowly returned in the volatile area in the wake of spirited efforts by peace-building teams and the National Integration and Cohesion Commission to reunite the warring Samburu, Pokot and Turkana communities. Bandits' guns have grown silent, roads that were death traps have opened up, and normalcy is gradually setting in. Our team spent days in Suguta Valley interacting with residents and is just back from the region with a special report, Scars of Suguta.
Welcome to Lomelo village in Turkana East, Turkana County. Ironically, nothing is welcoming about the village that sits at the heart of the Suguta Valley and a few kilometers from the border town of Kapedo. A quick scan reveals how the village that is home to members of the Turkana community is dotted with graves at the entrance of almost every homestead. Grief is in the air as countless remains, most of which are of residents who found themselves at the wrong end of a bandit gun, remain buried 6 feet under. The number of graves in each Manyata household varies, and so are the sorrowful stories that each homestead lives to tell. The only common denominator is the cause for the grief, which is deadly violence spurred by decades-long sporadic raids conducted by Turkana, Pokot and Samburu bandits. Meet 34-year-old Hiboloin Lotan, a widow and a mother of 8 who has lost 4 family members in a series of bandit attacks that culminated with the murder of her husband just at the outskirts of their village 2 years ago.
Nimepoteza ndugu yangu, mtu ya kwanza. Ule asani nilikuonesha mawe nyeusi pale tulipitia. Nikapoteza dada yangu mkubwa ambaye huyu anamfuata na Pokot. Alafu tukakuja nikapoteza kijana yangu mmoja kwa ajili ya Pokot. Na mwisho juzi nikapoteza mzee wangu Edonga Apwale.
Among all 4 blows, the death of her husband, then a Kenya Police Reserve officer, the family's sole breadwinner, and her knight in shining armor is so huge to date and one that evokes sad memories.
Alifungua mali yake hivi, akaenda akachungia kwa hiyo mamiti hapo hivyo, kwa hiyo laga hapo hivyo. Sasa maadui wakafuatilia akakuja kumuulia mali pale. Na akachukua mali yake, na wakati huo nilikuwa nanyonyesha hii kijana huyu na Malda.
Her husband gone, Hiboloin has been left with the sole responsibility of looking after her family.
Nafikiria kama hiyo pita ingekuja tungekuwa na bwana yangu. Angenisaidia shida yangu na watoto yangu. Vile hiyo pita ilikuja ikamchukua maisha yake kama ali Mungu hakuwa ameajiria kuwa atamchukua. Sasa bado hiyo mawazo niko nazo mpaka na sasa.
A few meters from her Manyata is another Makuti thatched Manyata, which is home to widowed Katelelo Chuchu and her 5 children. Just like her neighbor Hiboloin, Katele lost her husband months ago in a raid conducted by Pokot bandits.
Sasa kupika hapo. Sasa kumbe Pokot yuko hapo. Kapika watu. Sasa akaua huyo. Kauliwa huyo. Wengine akakuja. Sasa hao wanakuja wapi nani sijui. Kurudi hivi nakuta basi nimeuliwa.
It is here where she often brings her children, hoping to find answers to the numerous questions they ask regarding the whereabouts of their father. But in most cases, she stares at her husband's grave speechless, everything still a bad dream. The impact of the bandit attacks has not only been felt by Turkanas, but also by their Pokot neighbors who have fallen victim to retaliatory missions carried out by the Turkanas.
Nipeta mepoteza watu wengi kabisa. Siku ya kupeta lazima ni mali lipotee. fonda, ngamia, kila kitu ni mifugo yote.
Death, destruction, displacement, livestock raid, unaccounted, number of crimes. That has been a very common thing in the whole of this Suguta.
It is a deadly game of musical chairs that has lasted decades in the Suguta Valley plain ground, a ground that has, however, been a nightmare for police officers dispatched to flush out bandits over the years. In 2012, 42 police officers were killed in Baragoi, Samburu County, while in the line of duty in what is the darkest tragedy in the country's history to ever befall its uniformed forces. In November 2014, 21 more police officers were killed by bandits in this area of Kasarani, Kapedo, Turkana County, in what was the second highest loss of police officers in history in a span of 2 years. Fast forward to January 2021, 3 more police officers, among them the head of the Rapid Deployment Unit, his driver and GSU commander Emadao Tebakol, were all ambushed and killed in the very Kapedo in just a span of a week, prompting the launch of a crackdown operation on banditry for the umpteenth time. It is at this particular point at the outskirts of Kapedo Trading Center where senior GSU officer Emadao Tebakol met his cruel end from a bullet just like this one from a bandit gun. And just like that, he became a statistic in what had been a growing list of senior police officers who've met their deaths in their line of duty. His death, however, has since become a turning point. For the past few months, no gunshots have been heard in this region, and perhaps the more the reason why residents are roaming around freely. Present-day Kapedo town, which lies at the border of Baringo and Turkana counties, months after the operation, subdued. It is a different Kapedo now. A Kapedo buzzing with the commotion of day-to-day activities and no longer the roars of armored personnel carriers or the sounds of rapid gunfire. Residents have now grown accustomed to vehicles passing by the border town, not only security vehicles but also regular ones like ours, which crisscrossed the Suguta Valley for days without escort. But what really has led to the change? Behind the scenes, as the raids got intense, so were collaborative efforts by a team of representatives from Interpeace, a peace-building international organization, and the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to bridge the Pokots and the Turkanas, efforts that seem to have borne fruits and restored normalcy, albeit fragile, in the volatile Suguta Valley for months now.
Towns have opened, roads have now opened, people are doing business together. Shops have reopened, maize mills that have been closed for many years.
It is a valley that for decades has bore the stench of death. If only it could talk, it could tell of the lives and livelihoods lost within it. But in recent months, no bandit gunshots have been heard. And now, the sights and sounds of nature that were lost are slowly coming back. While other efforts have proven futile in the past, Hassan says a change in tact that put the warring groups at the center of spearheading truce among themselves was long overdue. But will it stand the test of time, and will the Suguta Valley ultimately be freed from the chains of terror?
The fifth thing they agreed upon is that this is no longer peace building that belongs to either Interpeace or NCIC or government or politicians. This is our own.
Walikaa chini wakasema wacha sisi tuamue kama majirani, tukae pamoja, tuone ya kwamba hakuna mtu anaenda kufuruga amani kwa area ya mwingine. So wale Waturkana wanatemu elders wao na vijana wao, wa Pokot side wanatemu elders wao na vijana wao.
To prove that peace building is a process and not an event, Hassan invites us to a cultural evening in Kapedo town, where we find youth from Pokot and Turkana communities singing along and dancing shoulder to shoulder to both Pokot and Turkana songs. We join the party.
Wenyewe ndio wameitikia amani, sio ile ambayo inalazimishwa. Hao wenyewe wameona shida ya kuuana, shida ya kuiba mali.
Saa hizi nafika natembea barabara, hata kama barabara bado ni mbaya, si mbaya kwa maneno ya insecurity.
The youths actually are the only people who can shape the coexistence, the peace and the stability of this area.
He, however, insists that the region is not out of the woods yet and that it could be one gunshot away from all hell breaking loose again.
There is a lot of illegal arms in the hands of youth. So if you don't sit around to understand how we do voluntary disarmament, how these people will accept to hand over these arms, and there are a lot of other vulnerabilities that are going to perpetuate violence in this youth, then violence is likely to occur.
Evidently, all is not done yet, but the months of calm that the region has experienced so far are a clear signal that long-lasting peace and stability could be in the offing. Each passing day offers the residents an opportunity to build trust, to restore peace, and to forge a future free from the chains of banditry.
It is the perfect example of fruits of peace being enjoyed by residents here in Kapedo who belong to either Pokot or Turkana communities. And to them, they have just one song which they sing in unison, a song about peace, because to them, peace is all they ever wanted. Peace is all they deserve. David Mboka, TV 47 at Kapedo.